Begin our video. Okay, excellent. Welcome everyone. Before we begin, just to remind you, of course, this is our special council meeting. Today, the meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township's YouTube channel. Just call the roll. Please raise your name. Raise your name. Raise your hand when I say to your name. Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Present.
Councillor Watt.
Present.
Councillor Vergort is not on the bridge. Nope. Councillor Johnston.
Present.
And myself, Heather Watson, and then acting clerk, Martina J. Hartway. Good morning. CAO Lynn Arthurs. And acting CBO Don Allen. Hello. So with quorum of council attendance, we'll call the meeting to order. Start with the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Nichi-Sagaig Inishibe. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Moving on, there's only one item on the agenda. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing nothing, can I please get a motion to adopt the agenda today? Deputy Mayor Nelson, Councillor Johnston, all in favor, and that motion carries. So on to the item of business, we have our 5.1 municipal public docs, CAO Alana Arthurs, over to you now.
Yeah. So the recommendation is that CAO 2023-17 report dated July 18th, 2023 regarding municipal public docks be received, and that council approved bylaw number 2023-31 being a bylaw to regulate the use of municipal docks in the township of Douro-Dummer. Tried to outline within the report. It's only our last council meeting. Council had asked us to come back as soon as we could with a draft bylaw. There are a lot of municipalities that do this type of regulation of the municipal docks, so it did take us some time to try to find some. We did find a couple of municipalities, so we looked at what we thought was appropriate for ours and tried to bring them together and find something that would work. We did establish in this bylaw a set fine schedule. So to be able to actually use those fines, we would have to send this up to the province for approval and await the approval to do that. So we could certainly start with the warnings, but the actual fine process would have to wait until the egg is approved at the provincial level. So I'm happy to answer questions about the bylaw specifically. If there's anything that we want to look at, if we want to revisit, we will bring this back. Otherwise, we can certainly move forward with it today.
Thank you.
To the chair, did you have much response from people, like voters or even construction guys on what we're proposing to do?
Through you, Mayor Watson, I have not received any calls at all, actually, with regard to the draft bylaw.
Right. And I guess the only question I have is that periodically, when they take the barges and that out, I know a situation there back 2 weeks ago. One of the guys, the thing broke down. So that's going to happen periodically, especially when you're working with motors and everything. Well, what goes on there? Like, are they going to be advised to contact somebody? The thing's got to sit there a little longer than what we've got proposed. Is there a way that they can notify somebody or like that for their responsibility?
Through you, Mayor Watson, to Councillor Johnson. I think if there's situations like that, staff is going to be reasonable, and it is up to our bylaw enforcement how much enforcement will occur. So if there's a one-off and something has happened and they're unable to move the boat, we're going to be lenient with that. At the same time, if it's a reoccurrence and if we're having challenges over and over again, we're probably going to be less tolerant, and they're going to have to find a way to remove the vessel from.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure that because things will happen.
Of course.
Okay.
Councillor Watt.
Through you, Madam Mayor. It was something I believe that Mayor Nelson brought up before, and maybe he can speak to it a bit better than I can, but when this was kind of in place before, and he said something about the warning went out, but it did not, and you say the fines, can't happen until it gets approved by the province now, but you said they impounded boats before and they couldn't get them back until they complied with whatever, but I don't know how that worked, or whether that's still something that we can impose, other than fine, but we impound the boat and take it somewhere else until such time as whatever. I'm not sure how that was going to work yet.
Through Mayor Watson to Councillor Watt. Martina and I both sort of took a look at that act, so storage and liens act, I believe is what it was. I had some initial concerns because we don't store boats, we don't. So some of the provisions within that act didn't seem to fall in line with what our day-to-day business is. If it's something council wants us to look at, I would suggest that we get a legal opinion on whether or not we have the ability to do that. We do have some wording in there to allow us to pull the boats out if we need to. If they're there, but as far as going to the point of impounding them, I certainly would want to have a legal opinion on that before we move forward.
That's fine. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, through you, Madam Chair, I was just going to ask if you'd looked into that or how that went. I also had a, which I expressed to, but I think that's good, was just about somebody broke down on the lake. We don't want to say, you can't come in here on an overnight and park there overnight because you broke down. That, I mean, that's just ludicrous. I think most people on the lake would be welcoming to a boat, or I would sure hope so. If it was my dock, I'd be allowing somebody, if they were broke down on the lake, to come in. So that was one of my concerns, and I think that's addressed. I really don't have any other comment.
And if I can just add, I mean, we've drafted this bylaw, to address some of the concerns that we had looking at other municipalities, what they may have had to deal with, and what we can anticipate. But certain things happen, and if we have to come back and make modifications, we'll do that. It's usually the way we think we've got it right, and then there's some other caveat that happens that we have to come back to council and say, we should put this in, or we should take this out, or we should modify this a bit. So we'll be aware of that with the brand new bylaw for sure.
Deputy Mayor Nelson,
Sure.
so the phone floor, and Councillor Watt.
Just one more question. Are we going to put up some signs just based around this bylaw? Are we like some information there for people so the general public kind of knows what's expected?
Through Mayor Watson to the Deputy Mayor. Absolutely. I think it's an expectation too. There's been a lot of talk about there being a sign that said no overnight parking, and we were reluctant to put something there without having a bylaw in place. So we'll take a look at some of the major points, whether it's the timeframes, and we'll put something together that we can put down there so people are aware. We'll reference the bylaws so that they know where to go with them.
And just to be clear, this is at both wards at this point in time, or any future ward that we may be in control of, correct? Yeah. Was that for questions on the line? Councillor Watt, sir.
Question and a comment. First, the question, is this going to apply to, or we're going to sign both of our wards, like one at McCracken and the one at Crows, or are we just dealing with Crows at the moment? That's my question.
Through Mayor Watson to Councillor Watt, the bylaw is drafted to address both. We felt that we were going to do one, it made sense to have the same regulations in both locations. If council chooses not to bring in the Krakens at this time, we can certainly take that out and do only Crows, but right now as it's drafted, it's for both locations.
And that's what I would like to see. And my comment is just a thank you to staff, and we had the presentation from the lake people, and it was a contentious issue and something that we needed brought up quickly, and I appreciate all the work staff's done to bring this up as quickly as you have and have this meeting today to get some resolve on this. So much appreciated. Thank you.
And Councillor Watt, that almost sounds like a motion, but Councillor Johnson has his hand.
No, in here it says that we would put, when we charge somebody down the road, we put on their tax bill. What happens if they're not from our township?
Through Mayor Watson, certainly won't be able to put it on their tax bill. We would have to take other means. We'd put it through our finance department. I don't think at this point they've had a situation where they've had to go seek, because we don't have a lot of fines in place. We don't have a set fine schedule for most of our bylaws. So they haven't had to go through the process of how they might manage that, but I would leave it up to finance to do what they do to make sure that they're.
That's good. That's good.
Councillor Watt, are you going to make a motion?
I will make the motion, yes, Madam Chair, through you, that we follow the recommendation that we go with the bylaw that is proposed. And as our CAO said, we can go back and make any changes necessary in the future, but this is a very, very good starting point. Follow this recommendation, follow this bylaw, and with thanks.
Motion to approve the recommendation, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson. Any conversation, debate or vote on the motion that's on the floor? And all in favor? And that motion carries. So then right next on the agenda, item 6.1 is the bylaw itself that needs to be approved. So we get a motion to approve the bylaw, Councilor Johnston, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson. All in favor, and that too carries. Confirming bylaw, Councilor Watt, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor, also carried. And I do need to say, I know we don't have announcements on here because it's a short special meeting, but I do want to make an announcement specific to the county's official plan and the township's official plan, which is coupled therein. So the official plan was sent in to the ministry a year ago by the county as it was required to, and it's been sitting in the on the ministry for approval for the past year. So what's happened now is that draft official plan has been posted on the provincial website for their provincial or their public input period. Of course, COP was a very short process during 2 years, 3 years going through locally, but now it's been posted provincially for input. That public input period deadline is August 20th. It could have, will have significant impact potentially on certain residents and how we build and grow as a municipality and as a county and as a region. So I would encourage residents to take a look at that. It's posted on the township website now. It's also posted on the county website as well as the provincial website. And the commenting deadline is August 20th. So I just wanted to flag folks' attention to that. So on that, no other announcements, since there wasn't really a spot anyways on the agenda. Can I get a motion for adjournment, please? Deputy Mayor Nelson, Councilor Johnston, all in favor, and that motion carries. And that's a wrap.